people, 19 people.
Yes, it definitely is a good start, Prem Mamaji.
Yeah.
Oh, host kar liya.
Right. Okay. So I think according to the time, maybe we can start now. Welcome everyone on this new year. And the new start that we're going to do, Prem Mamaji is going to start, Prem Mamaji's family, Usha Mamiji's family is going to start. Navkar Mantra, everyone can join, please. Then Savita Auntie will go through today's Bhaktamar experience and other COVID experience Auntie had during that. Then Kushal Mamiji will sing one bhajan. There will be two bhajans. Second one will be by Lester Wale Neelam Auntie. Not Stanmore Wale. Stanmore Wale maybe next time.
Okay.
And then finally we'll have Dr. Dhariwal. We are introducing this time round Loggas. So anyone who's interested in Loggas part, please stay. So it's not about anyone who already knew. So sometimes you may want to double check the pronunciation. So Dr. Dhariwal will help for you. It will be checked, double checked, and anything sometimes we don't say correctly, he will help you there. Anyone who wants to learn, they can stay as well. So that will be the last 10 minutes. So yeah, Prem Mamaji, whenever you're ready, you can start 3 Navkar mantras, please.
Hello.
मनोज फैमिली हमारी बाहर गई हुई है, आप भी हमसे हमारे साथ ज्वाइन कर लो.
Sorry, okay.
ठीक है.
Everyone can join, please. Yeah.
हाँ बिल्कुल. नमो हरिहंतानं नमो शिवाय नमो हरिहंतानं नमो विजायानं नमो लोये साबिसानं Is so namo
You want me to unmute your? No, it's okay. I did. Okay.
Manoj, are we going to start?
Yes, Auntie. So yeah, so please, Savita Auntie, start with your.
Can you mute everybody, please?
Yeah.
Thanks. Jai Jinendra, everybody, once again, for all those of you who have joined recently. When I read the headline, "The Power of Prayer," was going to be the topic of today's talk, and I thought, no way am I qualified to address this. No way at all. However, all I can talk about today is my experience of learning the most powerful stotra in Jain religion, which is Bhaktamar. And I will share my personal details, my personal experience, and please do not hold anything against me if it doesn't agree with your understanding of the subject, but I will try and do my best. And I'll start with the Michami Dukadam already. Okay. Before I start, I think I need to pay my heartfelt thanks and sincerest appreciation for Shamni ji's Pratibha Pragya ji and Swarna Pragya ji. Without them, I wouldn't have been where I am today. So Shamniji, thank you so much for being there for me when I suppose the time was right. I would also like to start by thanking COVID, because had COVID not appeared, I would have still been in my mode of stagnant development or zero development, zero spiritual development. For almost half a century, I had made no progress in my spiritual development. But thanks to COVID, it opened up all sorts of new opportunities. It gave me all the time in the world, and also modern technology. For example, Zoom. Without Zoom, today's session would not have been possible either. So we have to thank technology for some of the stuff that we are able to enjoy today. And what also helped me along was teaching young children. And amongst all of them, the one that stands out the most in my mind is a young girl called Avya Butoria. She's in the Netherlands, and that girl was gifted. I myself still did not know how to pronounce Bhaktamar, but with her help, I have learned a lot, and I owe a lot to this 6-year-old little girl, Avya Butoria. So now before I start talking about Bhaktamar, can we do a little quiz? It's very simple, don't be afraid. I'm just going to ask a few questions about Bhaktamar, and I'm sure most of you will know. So, Madhush, can we unmute people?
Yes, they need to unmute themselves. So when you
Okay,
ask
they'll be
question,
able to unmute.
anyone
Okay,
who
fine.
wants to answer your question, then they can unmute themselves.
Great. Okay, so first thing, does anybody know who wrote Bhaktamar Stotra?
Sorry.
Swami Mantum.
Acharya Mantumji.
Acharya
Well done.
Mantumji.
Well done. And in whose praise did he write this?
Shri Adinath Bhagwan Ji.
Well done. People are quite clever, you know. And why did he write this?
I think it was in King's Court, and there was some sort of a competition or some sort of thing that how much the prayer has got the power. And I think when he did that, then all the sanklas which he was imprisoned with, that started breaking one after another. So that showed the power of the prayer.
You are nearly there. Yes. The main bit was that he was imprisoned because of his belief, and he was chained with 48 shackles. And every time he wrote a shlok, each shackle broke. Yes. In which language is Bhaktamar written?
Classical Sanskrit.
Well done. And how many stanzas are in Bhaktamar?
48.
48. Some people say they're 44, but there's
44.
48, 44, 48. Both are acceptable. And when was it written? Take a guess.
It's 2,500 is bad.
Okay, it was written in the 7th century, but some sects believe that it was written in the 10th century. So what I've been told is 7th century during the reign of King Harshvardhan.
Yeah.
And how many lines in each shlok?
Word.
Okay, there's 4 lines in each stanza. And in each line, how many syllables? Okay, there's 14 syllables in each line. So that is the beauty of this poetry. That's why Bhaktamar is also deemed as a very grand poetry in the Sanskrit language. And lastly, I believe, I'm not an expert, but I believe that there are different names for different chands that poetry is written in. And this Bhaktamar Stotra is written in Vasant Tilaka Chand. The principle of the chand is that it needs to have, each line needs to have 14 syllables. 7 are long and 7 are half. Okay, so that's, you've all done very well, actually. I mean, before I started learning Bhaktamar, I didn't have a clue of any of this. So well done. So like I said, this was written during the reign of Lord Harshvardhan, not Lord Harshvardhan, King Harshvardhan. And he challenged the Jains to perform miracle. So Acharya Mantung said that Jains don't believe in miracles. We just believe in the power of prayer. This annoyed the king and he imprisoned Acharya Mantung and tied him up with heavy chains with 48 shackles. It's said that as he wrote each shlok, the shackles kept breaking. And that's why Bhaktamar has got 48 shloks. After the 48th shlok, he was freed, the last shackle broke, and it is believed that goddess Chakreshwari, who is the goddess of Bhagwan Adinath, she came and rescued him. So that's the story behind Bhaktamar. Before I talk about Bhaktamar, I think I'm really all inspired by Acharya Mantung's ability to be able to visualize, his understanding of nature, his oneness with nature, his deep knowledge about so many things, and most of all, his unconditional devotion. I wish I would have that kind of a devotion to my Bhagwan. I lack that. I'm going to admit that I lack that. I am working towards it, but his devotion, his praises, his similes, they are just out of this world. And that really impressed me a lot. And I really enjoyed when I understood the meaning of the shloks. It was such an enjoyable experience. The poetry, you just have to sit and visualize what Acharya Mantung must be going through. And once he connected with Bhagwan Adinath, I believe that the words just flew. It was effortless for him. And I'm just praying that maybe one day I will also be able to achieve the same goal. My goal post has moved a little bit. I used to always think, oh, in my next bhav, I just want to be born into another Jain, Sthanakvasi family and, be a Jain, a good Jain. However, now I believe after reading all this and after seeing what Mantung was able to achieve, my goalpost has also moved a little bit further up. And I'm not ashamed of it. I just hope I can achieve it at some point. And he's so humble. He starts off by saying that, am I capable of praising you, dear Lord? When I say Lord, I'm talking about Bhagwan Adinath in this talk. Okay, so he's questioning himself. I'm like a little child, just like a child thinks when he sees a reflection of the moon in the water and he wants to grab it. Acharya Mantung feels that I'm like that, I'm so ignorant. So you see his humbleness that has come out in this, in the whole of the 48 shloks. And I mean, as we learned the shloks, and it just unfolded the meaning of the stotra, and it was truly mesmerizing at how much he was able to give us. And I feel really lucky that we are able to enjoy this even today. And I'm sure is going to be Amar, is going to be everlasting. Just like Bhaktamar is Bhakt plus Amar, which means immortal devotee. And I'm sure this stotra is also going to be Amar. Now, just to talk a little bit about Bhaktamar stotra itself. So as we know, Bhaktamar is made up of 48 or 44 stanzas. And each stanza has 4 lines, and each line is made up of 14 syllables. Sorry, did I say 4? Yeah, 4 lines. And each line is made up of 14 syllables. It is a very auspicious stotra. And it is highly revered and accepted by all the Jain sects, Digambars, Shvetambars, everybody. And it has truly magical powers. By just listening to it, you don't even have to memorize it. But if you listen to it, if it plays in the house, it creates vibrations. And apparently those vibrations are good enough to free one from all sorts of difficulties, worries, ailments, and of course, fulfill wishes. Some people will recite Bhaktamar to attain wealth. So each one to themselves, whatever suits them. But my personal aim to recite Bhaktamar is for my Karam Nirjara. Now, Karam Nirjara is, I guess, the easiest way to explain is for me to get rid of my bad karams and to gain good karams, gain punya. So that is my aim as yet. In future, if that changes, I don't know. But for now, that is my aim. Bhaktamar Stotra, most of the verses have similes. And the similes are varied. Acharya Mantung will use different words to compare to the same thing. For example, he will use words like Indu, Shashank, Shashi, Shashikara, all these to describe the moon. So what Acharya Mantung has done is that he has repeatedly compared the Lord to, or the Lord's qualities, I should say, to the sun, the moon, the planets, the lamp with the oil, the different seasons, the sea, the mountains, the wind. And he's also compared the qualities of Bhagwan Mahavir with the, Bhagwan Adinath with the qualities of Brahma, of Shankar. And his conclusion is, they're all good. I've heard them all. I've seen them all. However, nobody comes anywhere near you. You are the top. you are the jewel of the three worlds. You are the ultimate knowledge, omniscience. You have the ultimate omniscience. So this also reflects that how devoted Acharya Mantung was towards Lord Adinath. We also, so that's what he's concluding. And as the shloks flow, then Acharya Mantung is also describing the 8 Pratiharis. Now, I didn't know what Pratiharis were. I mean, I didn't even know the word for the charmer. I have seen them in the mandirs where people do puja and they use that in front of the gods. I didn't know that that was called a charmer. So apparently there are 8 Pratiharis. Pratiharis are the essential things that are needed during Samotsaran. And what is Samotsaran? Samotsaran is when Bhagwan or when a Tirthankar gives a sermon. That is a Samotsaran. And there are 8 Pratiharis, like, for example, or they're essentials, and they're like Ashok Vrush, the Chamar, the Chhatra, the Singhasan, and there are some more which have gone out of my brain at the moment. Oh yeah, there is another one, the musical instrument, Dundubher, the flowers that shower, you know. So there are 8 shloks that are devoted to these 8 Pratiharis. And then there are 8 shloks that describe the different types of fear. So fear of snakes, fear of elephants, fear of the sea, fear of the fire, fear of the forest fire, fear of disease. So Acharya Mantung goes and describes 8 of these as well. Each shlok has a literal meaning as well as a bhav meaning, which is like a spiritual meaning. It is like, for example, it might just appear that it's he's just talking about, you know, the snake, the fear of the snake, but then the snake represents deceit. And what he's saying is that by reciting these shloks.
अर्जुन रिमोट कहाँ पे होता है? ये टेबल पे नजर आ रहा है? चींची करता रहता है बस.
Thank you. So there is a lot deeper meaning to Bhaktamar than it would appear on the surface. And it was a long drawn process for me to be able to understand. And again, at my age, retention and recall is a big problem. I had to work really hard. That's why half the things I have not retained still, but I still enjoy reciting it. So like I said, by just reciting, by just even listening to Bhaktamar, you create a path, a spiritual path, which is devoid of all the kashayas meaning your ego, your anger, your greed, your aversion, your attachment, which is the worst kind of kashaya one can have, attachment, and it is so difficult to get rid of. So I believe that by reciting Bhaktamar or by even listening to it, you are helping yourself and you're following the path of Bhagwan. So how would one benefit the most from Bhaktamar? And the first thing that was drummed into us was correct pronunciation. And why is correct pronunciation so important? Pronunciation produces the sound, and sound produces vibration. And the vibration in turn then changes that into positive energy. And that's what you need. So your pronunciation needs to be good. And that's where the Sanskrit class comes in. It was so useful. It was a basic Sanskrit class. I would recommend anybody who wants to learn any kind of stotra, not just Bhaktamar, any kind of stotra, should at least attend that class. It's only a 12-week class, once a week. It's not very expensive. It's run by, it's supported by JVB. And you just learn the basics. I mean, I knew that, okay, this is her, ma. However, I didn't know that each alphabet had two components, a h and a. That was something new for me. So, and that really helped in learning the correct pronunciation. One thing also, which is, I think, far more important than pronunciation is, first of all, you need to have that, that faith, that devotion, that shraddha, that yes, I want to do it. It's not going to be easy. I can tell you in 2018, Shamniji's Punya Pragyaji and Pratibha Pragyaji stayed at my house during Pajushon for 8 days. Every morning they used to recite Bhaktamar. I used to sit with them and I tried. I couldn't get past the first word. I just could not say pranamya also. And at that point, I just gave up. I said, fine, not in this life. I don't think I will be able to do it. But then, hey, COVID came, Zoom came, and in fact, we were caught kind of red-handed, my friend and I. We were snooping around the JVB Zoom platform, looking. I was trying to teach my friend, 85 years old, and she didn't know how to work Zoom. So I was showing her how to use Zoom. And Shamniji, Swaran Pragyaji was on it with 2 or 3 other ladies, and they were talking about Bhaktamar classes. And she caught us. And she says, who's there? You know, who's there? Indira, who is it? Put your phone, put your camera on. So we did put our camera on. And then she said, okay, are you girls interested in learning Bhaktamar? And if you are, if I have about 8 or 9 people, only then will I start a class. Otherwise, I'm not going to start a class. And we looked at each other, and Indira is 85 years old. And so I said, Shamniji, will you teach us the meaning? And she said, yes, of course, I will teach you the meaning. And that's how we joined. And then we used to have a class of about 30 people, and with all different abilities. But she helped us so much. She had so much drive. She had so much push. She didn't give up. She didn't give up. And I would say to anybody who wants to learn, don't give up. Always look back and see where you were a month ago or a week ago, or even 4 years ago. Where was I? I couldn't even say the second word of the first line. And look at me today. So that's what kept me going. And that's what I would tell people, don't give up. It took me 4 months just to learn the correct pronunciation. And then it took me 3 months to learn to memorize it. And I couldn't have done that without the help of my Kalyan Mitras. I made some new friends during this class, and Chandni ji and we learned together. And we have been going on from strength to strength. We are learning Mahavirashtakam, we are learning Lagushanti. So we are doing all sorts of we are learning new prayers. The other way to be good at Bhaktamar is to visualize in the yellow color, which is Bhagwan Adinath's color. And it's always good to learn with somebody rather than by yourself, because the other person can pick on your mistakes and correct you. Also, I would like to say that Shamniji's teachings are all available on JVB YouTube. So if anybody wants to listen to them, they are most welcome to do that. And now, I'm continuing with Bhaktamar every morning at 7 a.m. Shamniji recites Bhaktamar. I try and join that, and it just refreshes my memory. Yes, I do get wavered. I do make mistakes. I do mix up the shlokas, but then, hey, that's okay. We learn from our mistakes. Now, what I'm going to say now is that you've all been waiting to hear about my experience of Athai. Athai was not planned. My usual routine for position is first and last upvas and in between ekashanas. I've been doing this for more than 50 years. So Indira, my friend, said to me, she says, oh, I'm thinking of doing a Bela. Bela is 2 upvas together. And I said, are you sure? You'll be okay. And she said, yeah, I'm going to try. So I did my first upvas. I was fine. So I thought, Indira's doing Bela. Let me give her company. I'll also do Bela. I did the Bela. Shamniji phones me that day for some reason, and I very proudly announced it. Shamniji, I've done a Bela. And she says, okay, Tela kar le, meaning do 3. I said, okay, if I'm fine, I'll do 3. And that's how I got the inspiration. I took each day as it came, and I can only put this down to my spiritual development. Nothing else had changed in my life. Nobody had come to tell me, do this, do that, or the other. Everybody in my family, all my brothers, all my siblings, they'd all done Athais. I was the only one left who hadn't done. And I never thought I would be able to do it in this life. However, with God's grace, with Bhagwan Adinath's blessing, I'm sure that is what I put it down to. I was able to complete my Athai effortlessly. When I say effortlessly, I mean effortlessly. People didn't think I had done Athai, but I had. And then comes to Parna. So this is another miracle which I would put it down to. Parna is more important than doing the Athai. How you follow what you eat afterwards is very important. And I was alone, and I thought, yeah, I'll break my fast by having my coffee as normal, this, that, and the other. But no. Somehow I got a visitor, and I call her my godsend. She's Dr. Pratibha Pragya. She came on the 5th day of my fast, and she came from a family, or she was experienced in dealing with Parnas because her mother had done a lot of tap in India. And lo and behold, she was here to look after me. Now, if you don't call this the power of prayer, I don't know what you would call. Jai Jinendra. Any questions?
Savita.
हाँ जी, जय जिनेंद्र।
हाँ, जयेंद्र जी। पता क्या, where there is will, there is a way. ये आपका ऐसा है।
Absolutely, बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने, बिल्कुल सही कहा।
And power comes automatically when you pray. ये आपके साथ हुआ है ना? ऐसे जो भी करेगा, automatically he will get it.
Savita, what is important is to believe, as you said, the first. Second, I think the meaning matters a lot. When you do with the meaning, then you fully understand and you can completely devote yourself with that. As you mentioned that a lot of praise is done of nature. And so that shows that nature is the ultimate. So he
was one with nature, he was.
That's what I'm saying. He's comparing Adinath Bhagwan with the forces of nature. And I think that is so powerful, no doubt about that. that ultimate is the nature. Yes, you mentioned that. And when he compared with other like Brahma and all, and he said, you are, because he has completely devoted himself. His own identity was not there. He can identify only himself merged into Adinath. So his ego is, that is completely finished. When it is completely finished, then only you can reach to that stage.
Yeah. And that's what we should all strive for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Savita, we have one question. Raj started that Bhaktamar part learning in the morning, but then we could not log on. And
YouTube.
And Raj did send 2-3 messages to Shamni ji that he's not able to log on, and we couldn't get any reply. And that's why we left.
Okay, I can get you enrolled with the WhatsApp group. So they send messages every day as to what's going on.
Okay.
And they send the link. There's a lot happening with JVB, and I mean, I've benefited a lot from the JVB platform. And I think everybody can benefit. You don't have to join. Information is there if you want to join. I will get you added on, Dr. Ji.
Thanks for the information. I mean, I started reading in Hindi, but then I thought that I could not carry on. Let's put it that.
I'm willing to help anybody who is interested in learning, because I used to conduct one-to-one sessions also. I mean, I used to spend about 5 hours a day with different people, teaching them or learning Bhaktamar. So I will make the time. If anybody is interested in learning Bhaktamar pronunciation, especially, I will make the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was
Savita,
very nice talk.
Savita auntie, would you recommend children to start now to learn Bhaktamar?
I would most certainly recommend, the younger they start, the better it is. I have taught the 6-year-old Avya. Then there was a young boy, Vivan, from Ireland. I taught him. And then Shamni ji used to hold classes in the evening. And then she would urge us, you people need to come and help. It will help you. And she was so right. By teaching the children, I also learned. It's like Avya, you know, Avya was, she would pick up the pronunciation just like that. I would still struggle. I would ch, and she would pick it up just like that. And I had to learn from her. So I'm truly, truly indebted to her.
Right. That's nice.
And yes, the younger they start, the better. Doesn't matter if they don't understand. Some parents will say, oh, you're pushing your child, but you will be surprised how quickly their memory power is very great, which we lack, which I lack. My memory is horrible. It's useless. I have to work so hard to memorize one line, but children pick it up just like that. It's just that they need to be guided with their pronunciation.
So would you say that they understand the Bhaktam, read the Bhaktamar, but the meaning behind it, would you teach that as well?
That would be too complex for them, depending on the age.
Right.
Depending on their age. If they memorize it first, that's what Shamni ji used to say, let them memorize it first, and then they can learn the meaning.
And can I ask one more question, Savita? That what about Bhaktamar can be done within yourself without because you could just do it Bhaktamar.
Yes, you can. But what I found was I was getting distracted. And as soon as you get a little distraction, you lose your place. And you start making mistakes. So sometimes I find it's easier to say it aloud.
Would you say, so if picking up on that question, if you say it silently to yourself and you pronounce the words as well, which would have the most power? Would they both be as powerful because you're getting the vibrations internally?
See, I'm no expert, but from what I remember from Sushil Muni Maharaj's teachings, he used to say there are 3 ways of doing any mantra. Loud, and then you say it in your mind, but your tongue still moves. And then the 3rd one is when no movement happens and it's just in your kind of your subconscious or your conscious, whatever it is, you are saying it. And according to him, that was the most powerful way of
You
Doing
have
a
given the
mantra.
answer.
And more difficult also.
Yeah, you have given the answer actually. That is you, yeah, I mean, you have given the answer, yeah.
And the other question I had was, if somebody was to ask you just in a couple of sentences, what is the main essence of Bhaktamu? What would you say it was, just in 1 or 2 lines?
the main essence of Bhaktamar is oneness with Bhagwan Adinath.
Thank you.
Could I say one
Which-
more thing?
Correct.
Which in the deeper sense is taking you away from your kashais, you know, from your anger, from your possessions, you know, rag, dvesh, is taking you away from all that.
So is that because your mind is focused on the mantra and therefore you are not attracting any further bad karma? Is that
That is definitely one thing, but the
Okay.
sheer vibrations that you are creating as well are helping you. So it's like when we are doing Samayak for 48 minutes, you are cutting yourself off from the outside world, right? So you're not building anything new, any new bad karmas. You are just focusing or trying to focus on your spirituality. And then by the pronunciations, that is creating the energy. And you're invoking Chakreshwari Devi, who is the Devi looking after Adinath Bhagwan, just like Padmavati looks after Parashnath Bhagwan. We've got Chakreshwari who's looking after Adinath Bhagwan. So you're invoking her. And these Devis play a lot of part in helping you.
Thank
This
you.
is all my understanding, my deductions.
Thank you.
Can I
So
just,
on,
can I
sorry.
just mention, sorry to interrupt, Neelam, call it Sunita, she, apart from the year gone by, for last 10 years, she does Athai every year. She also does Bhaktamar Stottra every morning. And twice a week, 1 kasna, 1 amle.
Wow.
That's her routine.
Well done. I
That's
really,
very well
really
done.
envy you. This was my first Athai in my life. At 70, I did an Athai. Wow.
Well done.
Well, in that case, I'll say, aapki bhi bahut anumodna, Neelam auntie and Savita auntie. It's really nice to know these things are happening. And this is what we were having conversation with Savita auntie. Her experience, I think, is going to inspire a lot of people.
She was put in the museum. I'll show you.
Put in the music.
Can I just say one last thing before I end? Okay.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
Well done. I think I should be taking tips. Actually, no, I don't need to take tips. It just happened. My Athai just happened. People ask me, how did you prepare? Do you prepare yourself? Let me ask you this question. Do you prepare yourself? No, it just happens, doesn't it? Yeah. People were asking me, how did you prepare yourself for the Athai? I said, nothing. It just happened. I didn't do it. It just happened. Yeah, one last thing that I would like to say is, with all this experience of 2021, although I live by myself, most of you know that I live by myself, I feel that I'm not alone. There is this power there for me, and it has even convinced me more that there will be somebody there for me always, be a human or Bhagwan will send somebody. So that is my conviction. And that is how my life is going to move on now. There's no stopping now. Thank you.
And that's really good. Thank you very much, Savita auntie, sharing your experience.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Jain Association and the EC members. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Who knew that like COVID-19, we all talk about saying, such a bad experience, but there's a, other side, flip side as well. How we take it, it's all on us in that sense. And you have kindly given that one example to us. So thank you very much. And we do know about Sanskrit, how high tech language that is. When the high IT technicians, they talk about one of the sophisticated language, they talk about Sanskrit is sort of paramount. And just giving one tiny example that you said today, like 48 shloks, 4 lines, 14 syllables, that goes down to the deep grammatical level, which we cannot think that there is any other language we can compete that can compete with this. And thank you very much for letting us know how we can do our karam nirjara, which is, reducing our karmas. And another thing, I never realized our lovely Hindu auntie's name meaning was moon, that you just explained today. So all of these things. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, auntie.
Welcome.
So moving further from here, we'll go to the next one, which is Kushal Mamiji is gonna recite her bhajan today, and afterwards it will be Neelam auntie. So Kushal Mamiji, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, shall I start, Manoj?
Ji, Hanji, thank you.
ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੱਥ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਡੋਰਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੋਰਾਂ ਤੇ ਸੁੱਟੀਆਂ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਡੋਰਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੋਰਾਂ ਤੇ ਸੁੱਟੀਆਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਗੁਰੂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨੇ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਬਣਾਇਆ, ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਠਾਇਆ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੇੜੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਵਾਲੇ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੇੜੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਵਾਲੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਗੁਰੂ ਕੋਲ ਮੰਗੀਏ ਤੇ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਸੰਗੀਏ, ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਮੰਗੀਏ ਚਾਦਰ ਚੰਨ ਦੀ ਮੰਗੀਏ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਣ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਗਏ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਪੂਰੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਓ ਕੰਮ ਅਧੂਰੇ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਜ ਆਪ ਸਵਾਰੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੱਥ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੱਥ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਕਈ ਜਨਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਪੁੰਨ ਜੇ ਹੋਵੇ, ਤਾਂ ਸਤਿਗੁਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਵੇ। ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਰ ਗਈਆਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ, ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਰ ਗਈਆਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੱਥ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਦਾ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੱਥ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਹਦਾ ਡਰ ਵੇ ਲੋਕੋ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ। ਬੋਲ ਭਗਵਾਨ ਮਹਾਵੀਰ स्वामी की जय।
Thank you very much for lovely bhajan, Mami ji.
Thank you.
I've just recently been pointed out by my lovely wife. She said Dr. Dhariwal uncle was raising his hand. Sorry, uncle, I didn't see that before. So if you want to ask any question, please.
That's all right. I was just going to ask about the memorizing of the Bhaktamar Shotra.
Right.
And retaining that at this age certainly is a challenge. Because the elderly people cannot retain that much as much the younger people do. And that's why you might have known that when anybody becomes a sadhu, they prefer to have a sadhu at a very early age so that they can teach them and those can retain them as well, as much as they possibly can. So retaining is the main thing. And how do you do that? Savita ji, can you explain that? How did you do it?
Okay. Before that, my friend Indira, she's 85 years old, and she memorized before I did. So it is, she's gifted. However, for me, the easiest, it wasn't easy. Let's put it was not easy. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I used to spend sometimes 5 hours a day either teaching. So when you're teaching, you're also learning because you are making the children recite. Say this line 10 times, say this. They will have remembered it, but I wouldn't have remembered it, even after hearing it 10 times. So for me, the best thing was to first get my pronunciation correct. It was no point. There were there were quite a few ladies in the class who had memorized with the incorrect pronunciation, and that was no good. And then to undo that is a bigger task than to memorize. So I just did it very slowly. I just took each day as it came. I practiced with my Kalyan Mitra, Chandani Bain. She and I every day used to get together for an hour, do one shlok at a time. We used to go through the meaning so that, there is some logic to what you are saying. And the book that I have, which I was following, this is the book by Shamniji, Pratiharis. It has got Bhaktamar in Hindi and in English, and it's got word-to-word meaning as well. The other thing I would suggest is if people can read Hindi or Hindi script, they should try and learn from the Hindi script rather than from the English transliteration, because what I found was children were struggling. They did not know whether it should be a or just a, right? In Hindi, it is very clear because you've got the matra, so you're going to pronounce this as a. Whereas in English, it just ends with the a. So the children never used to be able to be 100% sure how to read it until you tell them, okay? So, so the way I memorized it was just keeping on and on and on and on and on. It took me more than 6 months to memorize it. And I still get confused, don't get me wrong. Like you said, retention is a big problem at the moment with age. You sometimes will add a line from the other shlok into this shlok. But you realize, the funny thing is, you realize it straight away that something's not right here. And then you start again, and then it helps you to move forward. But don't give up, which is what I have done, not given up.
Right, I think that's really a good thing. So thank you very much, Savita.
That's very, very enlightening. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dhariwal uncle, that you asked that question because I suffer with that problem as well. So
yes.
my family members knows one of my favorite songs, right? Like I've been maybe singing for the last 20 odd years. I still cannot remember the whole song, so I have those problems. So it's not age related. And
it is more age related than ever before.
I was 20 since I couldn't remember, so it's definitely not age related. But I'm so glad I listened to my lovely wife, and otherwise I wouldn't have get a secret to this question, and hopefully, it will help me as well.
Somebody's asked about the Hindi.
Yes, he's got an answer. So Varunji, I've replied.
He's got an answer,
Yeah.
because if they go on to JVB
Yes.
YouTube, London, each and every shlok that Shamniji has taught us has been put on YouTube. So
Perfect.
They can benefit from that a lot.
Fine, perfect. Okay, great. Looking at the time, so I'm going to ask Neelamanti to sing her bhajan, please. Neelamanti, if you are ready.
तीन लोकों के नाथ देवाधिदेव श्री तुरंजय तीर्थाधिपति आदिनाथ भगवान की जय हो, जय हो, जय हो। हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, संकट दूर हटाना, संकट दूर हटाना। गर्दन में है दुख का फंदा, गर्दन में है दुख का फंदा, किसे पुकारे तेरा बंदा, किसे पुकारे तेरा बंदा। दुख के समय में हाथ पकड़ ले, दुख के समय में हाथ पकड़ ले, बिगड़ी आन बनाना, बिगड़ी आन बनाना। हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, संकट दूर हटाना, संकट दूर हटाना। बेड़ा है तूफान ने घेरा, बेड़ा है तूफान ने घेरा, तुझ बिन कौन सहाई मेरा, तुझ बिन कौन सहाई मेरा। तेरे हाथ है लाज प्रभु जी, तेरे हाथ है लाज प्रभु जी, नैया पार लगाना, नैया पार लगाना। हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, संकट दूर हटाना, संकट दूर हटाना। मेहर की बारिश हम पर कर दो, मेहर की बारिश हम पर कर दो, बदतर हूँ तुम बेहतर कर दो, बेहतर हूँ तुम बेहतर कर दो। तेरे कर्म से क्या मुश्किल है, तेरे कर्म से क्या मुश्किल है, बिगड़ी बात बनाना, बिगड़ी बात बनाना। हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, संकट दूर हटाना, संकट दूर हटाना। मैंने तुम्हीं से ध्यान लगाया, मैंने तुम्हीं से ध्यान लगाया, और न कोई सहारा पाया, और न कोई सहारा पाया। तू सच्चा परवरदिगार है, तू सच्चा परवरदिगार है, झूठा सभी जमाना, झूठा सभी जमाना। हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, हे मेरे आदिश्वर दाता, संकट दूर हटाना, संकट दूर हटाना। बोलो श्री श्री आदिश्वर नाथ भगवान की जय हो जय हो.
Thank you very much for singing this bhajan. I haven't heard this in ages. I used to love this when I was little. So thank you for bringing those memories back.
Brings back childhood memory.
Yeah, I may come back to you for the lyrics. And in fact, that Krishna Mamiji, the bhajan that you sang, Mamiji, as well, I haven't heard that. That's new to me. So maybe I'll come back to you asking for the lyrics of that. So, okay, thank you very much. So moving on to the next one. So Dr. Dhariwal has going to be starting our Loggas session. So anyone who's interested, so you can please stay for two reasons. One, if you have learnt and you think you are reciting properly, Dr. Dhariwal uncle can check. And as Savita aunty was explaining, the right pronunciation is very important. So when you recite that, those vibrations, they really hit where they need to. Or anyone who doesn't know Loggas, they can stay as well to learn that. So it's going to be divided into 4 sections. So today is going to be the very first day, and the next 3 more monthly sessions Dr. Dhariwal uncle will take it's going to be 10 minutes, and we'll take it from there. So before I pass on to Dr. Uncle, so this is still new for us, all of the executive committee. So please give any suggestions that you do. One of the suggestions was given regarding Loggas, so we have introduced that. So you will learn that. And with the suggestion, and involvements are very important as well. So anyone who wants to get involved, please let us know to executive committee or to Sabahu or myself, and we can see what we can do. Collaboration is very important for us, and making sure everyone does participate with all of the things. So thank you very much. And I'm going to pass on the baton to Dr. Dhariwal uncle from here.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Manoj, giving this opportunity to share something that we all should have learned long ago. And that is, although we all know our Naukar mantra, but the second most important one is the Loggas. And the technique that I am going to use it to make you learn is the technique that we use, I used to use for educating the doctors when I was GP tutor a few years back. If you happen to have a pen and paper, that would be very easy for you then to see that you learn it very quickly. Have you got those who want to learn? Have you got a pen and paper with you? Good. Okay. Let me just introduce you first what the Loggas is. अगर मैं हिंदी में बोलूं तो आपको अच्छा लगेगा. अंग्रेजी एक फॉरेन लैंग्वेज है अपने लिए, है? तो इसलिए मैं हिंदी में बताता हूं आपको. आपको हिंदी तो सबको आती है या किसी को नहीं आती है?
सबको आती है डॉक्टर.
अच्छा. लोगस एक वंदना है 24 तीर्थंकर भगवानों की. उसमें वंदना करते हैं, पहले 24 तीर्थंकर भगवानों का नाम लेते हैं और उनकी वंदना करते हैं और उनसे कहते हैं कि प्रभु मेरी इस स्तुति को जरा मरण से मुक्त करने की कोशिश कीजिए. 24 तीर्थंकर भगवान मेरे ऊपर प्रसन्न हो और मुझे मेरी जो अभी की स्थिति है उससे मुक्त कीजिए. आप पूजित हैं, आप कीर्तित हैं, चंद्रों के समान निर्मल हैं, सूर्य के समान प्रकाशमान हैं, सागर से अधिक गंभीर हैं. ऐसे भगवान मुझे सिद्धि प्रदान करें. ये एक इसका मेन मीनिंग है जो हिंदी में मैंने जो आपको बताया है, लिखा ये प्राकृत में है, संस्कृत में नहीं है। तो ये काफी पुराना है लोगस, और इसको अगर याद करना है आपने, तो जिस ढंग से लिखा है, जिस ढंग से बोला जाता है, उस ढंग से आपको याद नहीं हो पाएगा। तो मैं बताता हूं आपको कि अगर हम जब हम जाते हैं कहीं, गाना सुनते हैं, 2-3 बार गाना सुना हमने, काफी कुछ याद हो जाता है। बार बार 10-15 बार बोलने की जरूरत नहीं होती है, क्योंकि उसमें वो लिरिक्स होते हैं इस ढंग से, और उसकी मेलोडी होती है, तो वो दिमाग के अंदर एकदम से बैठ जाती है। तो उसी ढंग से लोगस भी गाया जा सकता है, और बेस्ट वे तो ये रहेगा कि उसको गा करके और सीखिए। लोगस उज्जोगरे धम्म तिथियरे जने, 24 केवल धम्म तिथिरे जने, अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम 24 केवली। तो अगर इसको आपके पास में टेप है और उसमें लोगस है, तो उसको बार बार सुनेंगे, बहुत जल्दी याद हो जाएगा। और नहीं तो आप बोलिए लोगस उज्जोगरे, बोलिए आप सब।
लोगस उज्जोगरे,
लोगस उज्जोगरे गा करके बोलिए।
लोगस
उज्जोगरे
धम्म तिथिरे जने,
धम्म तिथियरे जिने,
फिर बोलिए लोगस उज्जोगरे,
लोगस उज्जोगरे
धम्म तिथिरे जने।
धम्म तिथियरे जिने।
लोगस का मतलब है लोक में, यूनिवर्स में। उज्जोगरे का मतलब है प्रकाश करने वाले। धम्म तिथिरे जने का मतलब है जो जिनने जिन जिन तीर्थंकर की तीर्थ की स्थापना करने वाले तीर्थंकर, और जिणे जिनेश्वर। सो लोगस उज्जोगरे, बोलिए
लोगस उज्जोगरे
धम्म तिथिरे जने,
धम्म तिथियरे जिने,
लोगस उज्जोगरे,
लोगस उज्जोगरे
धम्म तिथिरे जने।
धम्म तिथियरे जिने।
अब दोनों मिला करके बोलिए लोगस उज्जोगरे धम्म तिथिरे जने।
लोगस उज्जोगरे
धम्म तिथियरे जिने,
लोगस उज्जोगरे धम्म तिथिरे जने,
लोगस उज्जोगरे धम्म तिथियरे जिने,
लोगस उज्जोगरे धम्म तिथिरे जने,
लोगस उज्जोगरे धम्म तिथियरे जिने,
अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम,
अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम
24 केवली,
24 केवली,
अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम,
अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम
24 केवली,
24 केवली,
अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम,
अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम
24 केवली।
24 केवली।
मतलब अर्हंत भगवान, मैं आपके को प्रे करता हूँ, जो 24 तीर्थंकर भगवान हैं, जो केवल ज्ञान के धानी है, उनकी मैं प्रार्थना करता हूँ। इसका मतलब ये है। सो अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम 24 केवली, बोलिए
अर्हन्ते
कित्ते सम 24 केवली,
अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम 24 केवली, अर्हन्ते कित्ते सम
Arihante kitte sam
Chavisam kevali.
Chavisampi kevali.
I think if you get few minutes, और आप सबके पास में बुक्स तो होंगे ही लोगस की, तो इसका जरा 2-4 बार बैठ करके 5-10 मिनट ऐसा समय निकालिए कि आपको जल्दी ना हो, क्योंकि जब समय की जल्दी होती है तो चीज जल्दी करने की इच्छा होती है कि जल्दी जल्दी ये भी फिनिश करें, ये भी फिनिश करें। तो समय जब आपके पास में हो तो 5 मिनट के लिए बैठ करके ये आपको 2 मिनट में याद हो जाएगा है? तो कोशिश करिए। आज इतना ही रखते हैं, क्योंकि ज्यादा इकट्ठा डालने से मामला गड़बड़ हो जाता है? तो देखिए, लोगस उद्योगरे धम्मति थिरेजने अरियंते कित्ते सम चौबीसंपि केवली। दोनों ये पूरा स्ट्रेंजर जो है उसको एक साथ में बोलने की कोशिश कीजिए, देखते हैं, देखें कैसे रहते हैं। फिर नेक्स्ट टाइम पे आएंगे। 10 minutes over.
Yeah. So, Dr. Uncle, sorry, can I request something if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
So maybe, what you have said for the proper, pronunciation, if you don't mind, just reciting those what you have taught today and putting it on Jain Association WhatsApp group.
Right.
And then we can offline listen to that and practice.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So the right pronunciation is Loggas Ujogre. उनेरा जी ने बताया था कि हर एक वर्ड का होता है आप अगर जब पढ़ेंगे उसमें तो उज्जयो अगरे है, जब बोलते हैं तो वो सेपरेट नहीं बोला जाता। लोगस उज्जो अगरे इतना क्लियर नहीं आएगा आपको, ऐसे आगे जाकर के आएगा उसभ मध्यम च, मतलब उसमें उसभ मतलब ऋषभदेव भगवान और मध्यम च अजितनाथ भगवान है, लेकिन दोनों को मिलाया गया है इसमें। तब नेक्स्ट सेशन में आपको बताएंगे ये, लेकिन उसमें क्या है का अजीएम आना चाहिए था अजित के लिए, अजीएम ना आकर के वो म के साथ में मिलाया गया है, इसलिए दो भगवान का इकट्ठा एक वर्ड बनाया है।
ठीक है जी,
इसमें प्राकृत में।
Okay, thank you very much. Right, okay, so on that note, thank you very much for joining today. Hope it was useful. As I said before, please come back to us with any suggestions or anything you would like to get involved with, and that would be really, really great for all of us and the association. So thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you again with a new topic.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Jai Jain.
Everybody.
Anji. Anji, कैसे हो?
बस बैठी
ठीक है ना? Very nice to see everyone. बहुत अच्छा लगा. Very nice.
धन्यवाद जी।